In the words of the late Huey Newton, the revolution has always been in the hands of the young. The young will always inherit the revolution. Good morning. My name is Kelley Davis. I am a senior here at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, majoring in industrial technology, management, and applied engineering. I am your mistress of ceremony. This is my third consecutive year being able to experience such a powerful and impactful program. This year marks the 45th year of the Youth Motivation Task Force program. And the theme is making major moves, putting the pieces together. During this moment, I would like for you to take the time to think about the moves you will make progressing forward and the vital pieces you will need to put together in order to make your move a success. Before you, I stand as a successful product of the YMTF program. Throughout my tenure here at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, I consider myself to have made major moves. And last semester, with the grace of God, the support of Career Services, and an amazing team here at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, I was able to put the pieces together by receiving a full-time job offer as an industrial engineer for a management associate program participant. I made my moves and I put the pieces together, and I encourage every student here to do the same. The purpose of this program is to prepare students to make the transition from college to the real world of work. We have been inspired, motivated, and encouraged this week by consultants that are not only entrepreneurs, but corporate executives, managers from business, government, and entrepreneurial sectors. They have taken the time to engage and motivate over 1,000 students here at UAPB and from local high schools. There is a quote that I recite to myself often, and it reads, "She believed she could, so she did." And so I leave you in the words of Theodore Roosevelt, "Believe you can, and you're halfway there. Discover your purpose, create your way, make your moves." The program will proceed as printed with a few adjustments. The meditation will be done by Mr. Hudoy Walters. The presentation will be done by Ms. Bobby Sweat. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. My name is Hudoy Walters, and I'm a biochemistry major of this prestigious university. And today, I have a life lesson entitled My Wage by J.B. Rittenhouse. I bargained with life for a penny, and life would pay me no more. However, I begged that evening when I counted my scanty score. For life is a just employer. He gives you what you ask, but once you have set your wages, why? You must bear the task. I work for menials hire, only to learn dismayed that any wage I had asked of life, life would willingly pay.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kyra Rattler, and I am a sophomore psychology major, and this is my second year being a part of such a wonderful experience. I'm sure we are all excited to be here today, and I would like to welcome all consultants, faculty, staff, guests, and students to the 2018 YMTF Closing Assembly. YMTF is a program focused on helping college students like myself make a successful transition from college to the real world of work. We have about 40 consultants who have taken the time away from their everyday responsibilities to infuse us with their knowledge and wisdom. Our theme this year, Making Major Moves, Putting the Pieces Together, has provided us the strategies for our success. As a participant, I have gained an array of knowledge that will not only help me in my career, but will help me in my life journey as well. To our guests, I encourage you to listen carefully as our speaker and provides us with her words of wisdom as we close out this excellent program. Thank you and enjoy the program.
Joshua fit the battle of Jericho. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho. Jericho. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho. And the walls come tumbling down. The battle of Jericho. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho. Jericho. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho. And the walls come tumbling down. The battle of Jericho. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho. Talk about your kings of Gideon. Talk about your men of Saul. But not like good old Joshua and the battle of Jericho. That morning, Joshua fit the battle of Jericho. Jericho. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho. And the walls come tumbling down. The battle of Jericho. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho. Right up to the walls of Jericho. He marched with spear in hand. Oh, that ram horn, Joshua cried. The battle lamb in my hand. God Almighty. And the lamb ram sheep horns begins to blow, and the trumpet begins to sound. Joshua commanded the children to shout, and the walls come a-tumbling down. Oh Lord, you know that Joshua fit the battle of Jericho. He fought the battle, fit the battle of Jericho. He fought the battle, fit the battle of Jericho. The walls come a-tumbling down. Oh Lord, you know that Joshua fit the battle of Jericho. He fought the battle, fit the battle of Jericho. He fought the battle, fit the battle of Jericho. The walls come tumbling down.
Our speaker is en route to the university, so what we will do now is just make a small adjustment in our program, and I'm going to ask Taryn Riles to come with the recognition of guests and supporters, and after Taryn will be Ms. Bobby Sweat.
Good morning. I am Taryn Riles, a junior at the university, majoring in regulatory science, environmental biology. It is my pleasure to recognize our supporters, because without them, this program would not be possible. As I call the sponsors, please stand. Platinum, Mercedes-Benz Financial Services. Silver, Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Bronze, Monsanto. Bronze again, Willis Family Dentistry. Individual, Bobby Sweat. Individual again, Ameriprise Financial. Individual again, Kamisha Freeman. We thank you for your support. Thank you.
At this time, we will have Ms. Bobby Sweat.
All right, students, let this be a good lesson of impromptu, okay? Always be prepared. because what I'm going to say is really not what I was on program to say, but this is a filler, and I think the message is still relevant. All the consultants, would you please stand? And I'm just going to speak on behalf of industry and externally from the university, and the students' liaisons will be recognized later, so I don't want to steal anybody's thunder if that was on the agenda. But while we're waiting on the speaker, and the young lady recognized the sponsors, and both at the business level and the individual level, and I think from a sponsorship, number one, we've received all of our accolades and our thank yous. The consultants that come back every year, for those of you who are not really familiar with the Youth Motivation Task Force and how all of these consultants show up and the process behind getting people to say, I'm coming. And we talked about the evolution of this program. This is the 45th year, and when you think about the number of consultants, I see some originals, consultants, that number has grown. And I know at some point we have had as many as 50 consultants on this campus in any given year. And I think we're around 40 this year. And the thing about becoming a consultant for the Youth Motivational Task Force, and I think you've heard Ms. Cherry say it, and we've heard other consultants say it, if you come once, you're coming back. It's just something that you are hooked. You absolutely get hooked. When you come to this campus and you get a chance to meet students one-on-one and just see how smart they are and see how energized they are and see how much they are excited about not only being part of the program, but when we go to the classrooms and we're talking to students who may not have gotten engaged yet, it's just amazing. And I think that is one of the energizers, and that's one of the motivations for us as consultants to just come back year after year after year. But you've also heard Mrs. Cherry say that putting on anything that is of first class, and we as consultants consider this program a first class program, it costs. And so my plea to not only the current consultants, but for those of you who are in the audience, even if you are professors and teachers here, if you know someone that works for a company, and I think we all do, right? Reach out to those people. Tell them about not only this amazing university, but this amazing program, because at the end of the day, from a company standpoint, these are our future employees. So I can't express enough for consultants, even for the community, to just give whatever you can to support this program, because it is a self-financed program for the most part. Most of it comes from individuals and companies. So, like I say, this was impromptu. I didn't have a written speech, so that's why I keep looking at Miss Cherry over here. But I'm the type of person, when you ask me to speak, there's three things that I'm always prepared to speak about. My God, the things that are important to me, and YMTF.
At this moment, we will have the introduction of our speaker.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jaden Wells. I'm a sophomore here at the university, majoring in business administration with a concentration in marketing.
Good morning. My name is Gary Jones, sophomore, a major in political science.
We now have the pleasure of introducing our keynote speaker.
Entrepreneur, CEO, and author, Valeisha Butterfield-Jones was born January 30th in Wilson, North Carolina. To U.S. Congressman G.K. Butterfield and North Carolina State Legislator Gene Former.
She attended Clark Atlanta University, where she earned a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science. She worked full-time for music legends such as Wu-Tang Clan and former heavyweight champion Mike Tyson. Upon graduation, she was recruited by HBO Boxing and served as the executive assistant to the president of HBO Sports.
In 2008, she served as a volunteer on Senator Barack Obama's presidential campaign. In 2012, she served as a National Youth Voter Director and later appointed as Deputy Director of Public Affairs for International Trade Administration by President Obama.
Ms. Jones is currently working for Google as the head of Black Community Engagement, Chief Executive Officer of Women in Entertainment Empowerment Network, and author of top-selling book, The Girl Print, a mentorship guide for women. She is a mother of one and married to 2016 NBA champion Dante Jones of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Recognized by Glamour, Essence, Ebony, Jet, Black Enterprise, and Sister Sister. And now UAPB, without any further ado,
we now introduce a cultural icon, the one and only, Miss Valeisha Butterfield-Jones.
Give her a hand.
Good afternoon. Hey, y'all. So, let me tell you. Brother, let me tell you, okay? So, I moved, I'm gonna give you the quick story, the real, because that's all I know how to do. So, I flew yesterday from Los Angeles, California, and landed in Dallas for my layover to this beautiful city. And I got stuck, and I got stuck in Dallas last night. And when I was stuck in Dallas, I landed, it was around 10 or whatever time it was p.m., and I looked at the monitor and it said that my flight to Little Rock was canceled. And it was the last flight out yesterday evening. And so I figured it out, but was willing to drive, fly, or whatever I had to do to get here to be with you today, because one, we have to be impeccable with our word, right? And so that's something that I hope we can talk about together today, being impeccable with your word. When you say something, and when you make a commitment, I don't care what the sacrifice is, you do what you have to do to make it happen. And I am here with you this morning. Woo! All right, so first I just want to say thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Cultural icon is something that to this day just blows me away when I hear big words and descriptors like that to talk about me, because I'm just a small town country girl from North Carolina. And to even stand here in front of you this morning and soon to be this afternoon is just such an honor, and I feel so very blessed to even have this opportunity. So first, I just want to thank the University of Pine Bluff for this gracious invitation, the Office of Career Services for the amazing welcome, and of course the Youth Motivation Task Force for all of your amazing work. So first, let's give you a huge round of applause. And so I stand before you today as a lot of things. First, as a wife, as a mom, as a Google executive, as the CEO and founder of a nonprofit organization, as an alum of the Obama administration and a proud HBCU alum. But I also stand here before you as an unapologetic Black woman who owns who I am every single day, whether I'm in rooms with us or whether I'm not. And too often, especially in tech, I'm in rooms where I feel alone. There are very few women in our industry and even fewer Black people. And so as I sit here in my intersection of being a Black woman, I know very real the challenges that you young people are going to face and that you're already facing as you take on all that you want to do in your life. And so today, I can't stand here today in any type of glory and make it seem like the journey ahead of you will be easy. It won't. I also can't stand here before you and fake it like all of the work that I've done now over the last 20 years of my career were easy, or was easy, because it wasn't. And quite frankly, there were a lot of ups and downs. There were a lot of setups, and I use that word intentionally, and we'll talk about that, but setups and setbacks. And sometimes the work that you have to do isn't easy, and it isn't pretty, it isn't glamorous. I wear, nice clothes because that's what I'm into, but the grind is really ugly. And so I want to talk to you today about the realities of what you will face as you embark on this journey ahead. You see, I grew up, and I mentioned this before, in a small town in North Carolina called Wilson. And it's currently the 7th poorest district in the United States. It's in North Carolina, in the rural part of the state. And I grew up in the 80s. And I'm telling my age. But I grew up in the 80s, and it was one of those towns that I'm sure many of you are from, that was divided by a railroad track. And you had the poor on one side, you had the wealthy on the other side. So you can imagine what race also sat on each side of those tracks. And in the 80s, much like it is now, especially in the South, our town and my community where I'm from was plagued with racism and sexism and misogyny and deep poverty. I'm talking systemic poverty that impacted everyone that I knew. And I grew up in public schools and had wonderful parents who were college educated and who had done well for themselves, but they made something to me very clear at an early age, and that was, although we've done okay, it's ours. And it's your responsibility to go get yours. And those were words that I heard around 9 years old, and I was like, what do you mean? Like, how do you build a life from scratch? And that's something that my parents expected me to do. And so I'll never forget being a junior in high school. Are there any high school students in here? There you go. Okay, let's give them a round of applause. So I'll never forget being a junior in high school and having the mandatory conversation with my academic advisor. And she was a middle-aged black woman whom I respected from afar, and she told me to come into her office for a counseling session about my life, my future, and my post-high school education. And so I sat in front of her with my grades. She pulled up my whole report, and she looked at me and she said, Ms. Butterfield, this is a shame. And I held my head down, and she said, what do you want to do with your life? And up until that point, I was around 16 years old. I had never told anyone my true passion, which was to work in the entertainment business. I hid it because in the South where I'm from, that's just unheard of. You had 3 options: to become a lawyer, doctor, or teacher, or something like that. And so in that moment, I mustered up the courage and I said, well, I plan to attend a 4-year college and I plan to work in the entertainment business. And she rolled over laughing and said, with these grades, there's no way that one, you'll work in the entertainment business or get into a 4-year college. This was at 16. And so I remember just feeling devastated, going home and talking to my parents and family, saying, can you believe what she said? And then my mom, who is also a super woke, unapologetic black woman, marched down there and gave her a piece of her mind. But more importantly, the actions that followed are what bring me here today. My grades were horrible. And in the town that I just described, that I grew up in, by the time of my junior year in high school, everyone, almost everyone that I knew who looked like me and many of you were either pregnant, single mothers, dead, or in jail. True story. And by the time I graduated from high school, at least 10 of my friends from my school had been murdered. And so I wanted out, and I knew that in order to get out, I had to get serious about my studies. And so I ended up buckling down, going out less, I sound like Drake, studying more, and really getting serious about my studies. And I got my grades up and ended up getting accepted into about 6 4-year institutions and chose Clark Atlanta University. Now, I chose Clark Atlanta University for a couple of reasons. Anyone have a guess? ATL, HBCU, anyone else? Money? Oh, I wish. Anything? Entertainment, anyone else? Far where I was from, that's good. Anyone else? Parties. So, it was lit, y'all, it's crazy. So, the year was 1996. I had decent grades, I got accepted, I chose Clark Atlanta University for all of the wrong reasons. It was a party school, one, but it also had a very strong mass communications department, which is it's renowned for. But more importantly, Atlanta at the time was the hub of the music industry. So the way you may think of cities like New York, who wants to work in the entertainment business? I see people feeling like they understand what I'm talking about right now. Okay, Wait, raise your hands again. Okay, faculty, professors, I see at least 10%, at least 10 to 15%. And so I remember enrolling in Clark Atlanta University because I knew that I had to get proximate to the business that I wanted to work in. Major key, right? DJ Khaled. Get proximate. And so for me, I knew at the time that this small town girl from Wilson, North Carolina, if I had any chance at making this big dream, this what felt like insurmountable dream come true, I had to get proximate to my dreams. So proximity is the first key. And so I moved to Atlanta, enrolled in Clark Atlanta University. I'm halfway through my first year. I'm doing well academically. My grades are strong. And I'll never forget, because this is old school, Google was around, but we didn't know about it then. And I started obsessing over the business of the music that I loved. And so I realized that it's not enough to be a fan of the music. But more importantly, if you really want to work in the business, you have to understand the business in order to get in. And so I became obsessed with understanding and researching and educating myself about the business that I wanted to pursue. And so Wu-Tang Clan, who's heard of Wu-Tang Clan? Please say yes, okay. I'm not that old. Wu-Tang Clan at the time was a global phenom, huge hip hop group. And they had an office in Midtown Atlanta. Who's been to Atlanta before? So you know Peachtree Street. It runs through the heart of Atlanta from north to south. And if you've never been there before, just imagine a street that probably, I'm guessing, runs at least 20 miles, maybe longer. And so I'm, from the south where you can get anywhere in 5 minutes. And so I'll never forget the day that I said, you know what, I'm gonna go up to the Wu Wear store, which is where the Wu-Tang office was, and walk there, because I didn't have a car, and I didn't have enough money to get there any other way. And I was going to walk because I was told by a man that Peachtree Street is right down yonder. 5 hours later, it's now getting dark outside. I'm at my breaking point, okay? I'm talking feet are blistered, I'm stressed out, I'm getting afraid because it's getting dark outside, and I feel stupid. I feel stupid for thinking that I, this small town girl, would even have the audacity to think that one, you could walk there, that's just crazy. But then two, that once you get there, you would have what it would take to get in the door. And so that was the moment, this is 5 hours in, that I said, you know what, I'm done. I don't know how I'm gonna get home, I'm gonna have to figure this out. And I was about to turn around, and I heard a voice inside of me. In that moment, and this sounds corny or not real, but it really happened. I heard and felt a voice inside of me that said, keep going. Straight up. And I'm not like super weird like that. Like I may have heard that voice 2 or 3 times in my life. And in that moment, I heard that voice and it said, keep going, keep going, keep going. And I just kept taking one step, the next step, the next step. Literally 3 or 4 minutes later, there's the store. I walk up to the store. The doors are locked, the lights are off, okay? So now I feel really crazy, like that wasn't a voice. You didn't hear a voice, like quit playing. And sure enough, I sat there because at that point, what do? You have nowhere to go. So I literally sat on the ground and was like, okay, I gotta get a game plan to get back to campus. And about 10 minutes later, I hear the door unlock because the people who had worked there were like wrapping up for the night and they opened the door to leave. And I stood up and I gave my best, maybe 2-minute pitch. I looked a mess. My best 2-minute pitch on why they should consider bringing me in as an intern to that company. On the spot, I was hired not only as an unpaid intern, but a paid employee. Thank you. So the major key is when you feel like you're at the moment of breakthrough or breakdown, is actually your breakthrough, right? Because I believe in God, and I believe that He needs to know that you're ready for what you say you want. Because what you don't want to do is go into those offices, go into those internships and opportunities and fail. Because guess what? Not only do you fail you fail all of us. Because there's a burden that we carry. Some of us call it the black tax, where when we go into those rooms and we get into those doors, we have a responsibility now that we wear on our shoulders, whether we like it or not, to lift as we climb, right? So I know that in the unique position I'm in at Google, I have a responsibility now to get more of us in that door. And every meeting that I go in, if I'm not on, if I'm not sharp, guess what? It's gonna hurt your chances of getting in the room. So you have to know that when you feel like you're breaking down, it's just a test to prepare you for your breakthrough. And sometimes that breakthrough is 5 minutes away. So what if I turned around? Okay, so that's the next key. So I go into the office, I do pretty well. It was everything you would imagine. Not exactly professional, not exactly as organized as it should have been, but it was a good training ground. And I went on, this was a full-time position, worked full-time all 4 years of my college education, and graduated on time with a good GPA. Fast forward. Now I'm at a crossroads at graduation. And I said to myself, okay, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna continue with this music thing, or am I going to go to law school, because that's what my parents wanted, and move back to North Carolina and get more on a traditional track? What do you think I did? Raise your hand if you think I went to law school. Raise your hand if you think I kept going. 2 people got it right. I went to law school. Quit my job, and kind of what I felt like was threw away the 4 years that I worked and the experience that I had, and enrolled in law school in North Carolina at North Carolina Central University, and went and was miserable. I spent 1 year in law school and just knew, with every fiber of my being, that wasn't my calling. And I would just get by. You know the days that you just get by. You act like you're studying, but you're not. You act like you care, but you don't. And I did that for 2 semesters. I faked it. And at the end of that year of law school, I withdrew, did not tell my parents, moved to New York City, slept on a friend's couch in Brooklyn, New York, and tried for 10 months to get an unpaid internship. 10 months to work unpaid. And do that math with a college degree now, with 4 years of experience under my belt, full-time experience, and could not land an unpaid internship for almost a year. So that gives you an idea for the 10 to 15% who in this room who want to work in the entertainment industry, of how competitive it is, right? When you can't even get in the door to work for free sometimes. And other industries are no different. If you're talking politics, if you're talking the legal field, you name it, these are competitive industries, and many are male-dominated. And so I'll quickly fast forward and say that I finally landed an unpaid internship at something called the Gersh Agency. It was an agency that represented actors and actresses. You've probably never heard of it, because at the time I'd never heard of it, but I ended up working there as an unpaid intern, and I was the only black person in the company, and I was unpaid. And about 3 months into the internship, I'll never forget one of the most senior agents, who was a white male, called me into his office one day. He said, "Valeisha, can I speak to you in my office?" And I thought I was in trouble. And he said to me, "Why are you the first person here every morning and the last one to leave, and you don't get paid? I want to understand why you are working harder than the people I pay in this company." And when you feel like you're hitting rock bottom, it's hard to do anything but tell the truth. And so I spoke the truth. I said, "Sir, I've been trying to find an unpaid internship for 10 months. You were the first one to give me a shot." I said, "So I'm gonna treat this like a paid position until I find another opportunity." And so he said, "I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't have a paid opportunity here, but I'm gonna call some friends at HBO and see what can happen." 5 interviews later, I landed a full-time position at HBO. Thank you. Major key, do the work when you think no one's watching, right? So often, especially right now, we care about Instagram fame, how many followers we have, how many likes we have, how many awards we're gonna get, and the popularity of the work. But before you can make money moves, you first have to make real moves. And sometimes the power is behind the scenes. How often do you see, and I can speak from experience too, I have friends, no shade, who work in the entertainment business. You would know them if I called them by name right now. Millions of followers, Grammy Awards, you name it. Good personal friends of mine right now. And who cannot, for the life of them right now, pay for a dinner. It's a real story. My friend Yanis, manager Yanis, he can attest. How many times the perception is one thing, but the reality is so different. And so the next major key is get real power. Forget the fame. The fame follows power. Power never follows fame. Y'all catch that? Right? So what I encourage you to think about, and that's why I started by saying I cared about the business of the music, is that what you don't want is to always wait and even have to beg for your next check. As a people, as a community, sometimes we get caught up in the benefits plan, the salary. I thought all I wanted in life was to make $100,000 a year. That's all I wanted. I thought that was rich. And then you get it, and you realize that it's nothing in the grand scheme of things when those bills pile up, those student loans are due, and life catches up with you. So I encourage you to really think about now your foundation and set it on a structure where you're thinking economically about your future, you're making smart and wise decisions, and putting yourself in a position of power. And it doesn't mean power of the world. It doesn't always even have to mean the power of the company that you're in, even though I believe you will get there too. It's the power in making your own decisions and knowing where your income is coming from and being responsible for that growth. So that's the next key. So I'm at HBO, I'm doing okay. I'm watching CNN one day because HBO's a television company, so we could do that. We're watching television at work, looking at different things, and it was, I believe, the upcoming election of Bill Clinton was coming up. And they talked about the power of young people in the political process, the power of young people in electing our next president. And it's like a light went off in my life. And I said, I know I said I wanted to work in the entertainment industry, and I still do, but I also want to be in service of our community. And everything that I'd done up until that point felt shallow. And I knew that there was an opportunity and way, possibly, for me to leverage the entertainment world to do social good. And so I became obsessed with just trying to break that down, figure it out. Like, let me hack this idea and see like what it would take for me to engineer that for myself. And so finally, I ended up going to work for a company called Rush Communications, again as an unpaid intern. And the celebrity and icon that was over that company hired me one day for the opportunity as an unpaid intern again. And so follow me, I went from paid to unpaid, paid back to unpaid. And at this point, I'm about 24 years old. Because I knew that there was a bigger picture for me, and it wasn't just in marketing music. And so I'll fast forward, I ended up working for that entertainment company, Rush Communications, responsible for Def Jam, Fat Farm, Baby Fat, and all of these brands. And I worked for that company for 7 years. I went from unpaid intern to executive vice president in a 7-year period. Thank you. Here's how. Who wants to know how? Because that's what you really care about, right? Okay, couple keys. As an intern, it is your responsibility to go from being a liability to an asset. Hear me clearly. As an unpaid intern, you are free help. You are an indentured servant. Whether they want to call it that or not, that's what this is. And it is your responsibility to go from being a liability to an asset. Now, let me break down what a liability is. A liability means that you are a risk to that company. Your existence in that space is a risk to possibly their bottom line, to possibly their brand reputation, to possibly anything that could go down. God forbid, let's say you encounter a situation of sexual harassment. That's a problem for that company. God forbid you go through a situation of racial discrimination or anything else that you may encounter on that job. You have a rightful responsibility to report that, but they, in their minds, feel like as an intern, it's too much risk associated with having you around. So they vet you, they screen you, and then they decide who they want to bring in as an unpaid intern. Okay, fine, or paid now. I don't even think they could do unpaid anymore, but you know what I'm saying. Intern. And so you have to show through your work that you are no longer a liability and shift it over to being an asset. Here's how. First, the stuff you should already know. If you don't, get it together. First there, last leave. I'll say it again. You have got to be punctual. It sounds simple, but it can literally make or break you. That's one. Two, I said it already, be impeccable with your word. If you say it, you got to back it up with action, not talk. Talk is cheap, y'all. And then you add some color to the skin. Come on now. You have to be impeccable with your word. Next, under promise and over deliver. Right? It took me a long time to figure that out. All right, let me break down what that means. If your boss comes to you and says, Dana, just making up a name. Dana, I need to know if you can have this project completed for me. What's today, Wednesday? This project completed for me by Wednesday at 5 p.m. And you know you can have it done in an hour. Absolutely, I will have it to you on or before that deadline. And then you get it done and you send it out. With me? Now, what if you said, sir, actually, I can have that and this and that too delivered to you within an hour. And guess what? You don't get it done. Life happens, another project is put on your plate, your mama has an emergency, you have to leave, whatever. Now you look like you are not impeccable with your word. Because no one cares about what just happened with your mother. Nobody. They're gonna act like they care, and then they're gonna go right to your file and make that note. And so what you always wanna do is give yourself cushion. Reasonable cushion, don't go crazy like, 2-3 weeks, but whatever is reasonable for that assignment. You wanna make sure that you're giving yourself cushion. So under promise, over deliver. And then the final thing is, and this is hard to teach, so I'm not gonna try, but I'm gonna share with you what propelled me from unpaid to paid. It's different for everybody though, so I wanna be transparent about that. But what you're gonna have to do, and this is the hard part, when you're in these environments, one, you've gotta be a student. You don't know everything right now, and it's okay. I still don't at 40 years old know everything, and it's okay too. And so what you wanna do is know what you know, and know what you don't know. That's big. Know what you know, and know what you don't know. Because when you know what you don't know, you can either, one, figure it out, you could, two, partner with people in your company who know that thing, and you could be great together, or three, people can say about you, you know what, that person is smart because they know their strengths and they know their weaknesses, and they're of value to this company. And so when you do all of those things, then as a student of your environment, you learn and observe and assess the gaps in that business. Are you with me? Okay, I'm gonna give you an example. Entertainment industry, full of self-proclaimed geniuses. I'm a genius, I'm Kanye of everything. I can design, I've got a great album idea, I can produce music, I can rap, I can produce video, direct a video, and all of these ideas flow in these spaces. Everybody got a creative idea. What I knew was my weakness was I'm not creative, and I'm okay with that. It's just not what I do, it's not what I wanna do. I don't wanna be the one that just sits around all day and thinks of big ideas, because I don't naturally do that. But what I knew I could do in that space with 90% of everyone in the company who were creatives was carve out a space for me where I can execute on those ideas. So if we're sitting in a meeting and you put 5 ideas on the table and everybody starts spinning for an hour about how creatively smart they are, because that's really what it is, it's an ego thing, and then I can come back in the next meeting and come up with a project plan and a budget and a timeline and a team strategy for all of those ideas and take it from A to Z and let that thing fly, guess who wins? You win. Power, right? So what you're gonna see in these spaces is the loudest people get all the attention. The creative ones are like, oh, you know, they're popping, right? But then when people start to pull that hood up, kind of like a used car, and you look at the engine, guess who's the engine? Be the engine. Major key. Don't be the car. Cars break down. Engines, not really. So be an engine. And then spend 7 years there. Now here's the next key, and please help me out with time, Annies, because I'm rambling a bit, but I'm gonna keep this going. So 7 years working in the entertainment industry. I'm now making 6 figures. I'm now doing really well. I'm now gaining a lot of recognition for the work. And I'm at an event at the request of my boss, I'm just gonna say his name, Russell Simmons. And he tells me, Valeisha, I can't go to this event for a senator named Harold Ford Jr. Anyone heard of Harold Ford Jr.? That's my point. Maybe 5%. Harold Ford Jr. was young, fly, single, black male, who everyone thought at the time was gonna be the first black president. Am I wrong? Show me a lie. Everybody thought that Harold Ford Jr. was gonna be the first African-American president. His daddy was a senator. He came from a long legacy of politicians. And I went to this event at my boss's request for Harold Ford Jr. And I walk into this event of maybe 40 people or 50 in New York City. I got on my jeans, I have on my work clothes, and I'm not prepared for an event. And I walk into the event, everyone, goes back to popularity, is clamoring around Harold Ford Jr. Oh my God, Harold, can I get a picture? Oh my God, Harold, can we have a conversation? Oh my God, Harold, can I give you my business card? And then over the corner of this same event, I walk in and I'm introduced to a guy in the room that no one is talking to, y'all, named Barack Obama. True story. This year is not even that long ago. This was 2006. And so I'm introduced to freshman senator from Illinois, community organizer, Barack Obama. The person who introduced me said his name wrong. And I was like, hey, sir, hi, sir, nice to meet you. And we had maybe a 10-minute conversation because literally no one's talking to the man. And he said he was there to introduce the main attraction, Harold Ford Jr. And he was a freshman senator, and he wants to build a coalition of young people committed to change and making things happen. And he believes that the entertainment industry can play a big role in this, and young people and millennials. I gave him my card. A year later, this man announced he's running for president of the United States. And guess what happened? He called. Major key. Never ignore the person in the room that you think is small. Listen, y'all. That still gives me chills. I don't care if it's the janitor. I don't care if it's the cleaning lady. I don't care if it's the cook who's cooking your meals. I don't care if it's the person who is washing your toilets. Okay? You speak, you be courteous, and you mean it. You mean it. Because, by the way, 2 parts there. One, that's one of our grandmas. Okay, so let's be clear on that. Or our sister, or our brother, or our cousin, or our aunt, or whoever, or not. So you never want to dismiss the people that you think are small. That's one, because it's just the right thing to do. And then 2, they know where all the bodies are buried, y'all. I can't tell you how many career choices I've made where I'm the woman in the building. And then I'll get some lady, because I've been speaking to her every day, and she's been ignored by everybody else. Says, girl, you better watch so-and-so. I just heard what she just said. And she'll just keep walking. Oh, you might want to watch out for this, because I just heard that they may be cutting your budget, and just walk away. Literally, honest to God, I can't tell you how many things I've avoided because I was respectful and kind to the person that no one else thought mattered. So be good to people. So in that case, it was Barack Obama. He became the president of the United States. And so he called. And then at this point, and I'll say this again, I'm 7 years into an entertainment company. I'm a executive vice president. I'm making good money, and he wants me to come and volunteer unpaid. Right. Sir. Okay. And I said, okay. And I said, okay, and I did for a year, and I'll tell you why. Sometimes you have to be willing to just do what's right. If it feels right, if it's something you believe in and no money is attached, but you believe with conviction that this can happen or you can be a part of making this happen, guess what? You gotta follow that call. And so for me in that space, I had no idea if he was gonna get elected. In fact, I had people who, no shade to our elders, who, and I'm talking Black people, who did not think he had a chance. And think about our history as a nation, right? Why would we think it is possible for a Black man from the South Side of Chicago named Barack could become president? Why would someone in their 60s and 70s, or even us, think that that's possible? How dare we, right, have the audacity to think that that's possible, given the history of our nation, right? However, there were young people like us who said, I don't care what the odds are. If he loses, guess what? We're gonna go down together. And that's what happened. And so I was willing to invest my time and relationships. So I did like sexy things. Like I got LeBron James to commit. I pitched LeBron James. Let me back this up. Ohio is a battleground state. We know that, right? Means the state could go either way in an election, especially a presidential election. It could go blue, it could go red, it could go Democrat, it could go Republican. And Ohio is a battleground state that historically, up to that point, had elected Republican presidents. And so I said, okay, I'm gonna call LeBron James, I'm gonna leverage my entertainment work, call LeBron James and his team and pitch this guy named Barack Obama that he's never heard of. Do the math now, this is now 2007. LeBron James is still a superstar, but he's like global superstar, just did his first $90 million Nike deal and had never endorsed a politician in his life. He's young, he's like, I don't know the age, but early 20s, maybe still a teenager. I think early 20s. And so I pitched it to him, I pitched it to his team, and got him to agree for the first time in his life to endorse a political candidate named Barack. And he did, he hosted a fundraiser or a rally in Ohio. Long story short, that was the type of work that I did. I leveraged relationships to make things happen for this guy that no one had ever heard of. Sure enough, night before election, we are in North Carolina. His grandmother had just passed away, President Obama, soon to be. And he told me that night, he gave me a big hug, there's thousands of people there, and he said, you invested in me when no one did. And I just want to say thank you. I said, sir, you're welcome. He said, if this happens tomorrow, we're gonna call you. And I'm thinking, that's what all the guys say. I didn't say that, but I was like, sir, you don't owe me anything. It was an honor to do my part. You know, I think this is gonna happen tomorrow, but win or lose, like, we did a heck of a job. And sure enough, the next day, he was elected president of the United States. We made history. I played a small part in that. Okay, thank you. And then he was elected, and sure enough, I was appointed by the White House to the Obama administration, later served on the Obama campaign as the National Youth Vote Director. It was the privilege and honor of my life because of that small kernel of a seed that I planted in a guy that I didn't even know. So that brings me to today. Thank you. That brings me to today and you. And I'll say this. I now work for a technology giant by the name of Google. And I've been with the company now for 2 years and was just promoted a few weeks ago to the global head of women and Black community engagement. Thank you. And to work for a company of that size, 70,000 employees worldwide, and to get promoted in a 2-year period is hard. It's really hard. And so I just want you to work on your muscle. And that's one of the last keys. Work on your muscle. Because all of the dreams that you want will not be easy. They will be hard. And the type of work that when you get into these positions sometimes becomes not only physical stamina, but mental stamina. And so I want you to work on the muscle, the emotional muscle, that it will require for you to navigate these spaces and to go get what you want, because it's yours and it's there, you just gotta go get it. So are we doing questions? It's not here. Okay, so we'll wait for that. So I hope to see many of you later, but I'll say this too. It's so important now also that you not have fear. And so when I talk about the sacrifices that you're gonna have to make, the muscle that you have to have, it's not to scare you, but it is to prepare you for what you want in this life. And I can guarantee you that if you put in the work, if you put your head down, make it happen, and be savvy as you navigate these spaces and invest in people, those dreams will come true. Thank you so much for having me.
Wow, I can't tell you how your message has aligned so greatly with this week's Youth Motivation Task Force theme, Making Major Moves. And as you can see, students, she made some major moves, right? Major moves. But in addition to that, you heard a lot of things, the things that she went through. I hope you heard some of the things that you heard in our messaging, right? Respecting, remember that one? Respect, being driven, know what you want, right? And be ready to take on anything. It may not look glamorous. And we talked about all of those things around making major moves, and your message today, I know that it resonated with the students here, so thank you.
Thank you.
So on behalf of the Youth Motivation Task Force and the Office of Career Services here at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, we would like to present you with this small token of appreciation. We are so glad to have you here in our midst today. And now, as an outsider to the university, and we have consultants from all over the industry, so we heard you loud and clear, students, didn't we, and consultants, that you're at Google, right, to ensure that people that look like you are also coming in the door.
That's my job.
And you've come to the right place today. Okay. So thank you so much. Thank you.
And now.
You gotta build this up.
Oh, he want me to build it up. Can you give me just? Woo! His name is Lawrence. Alexander. He's the head, and I'm the tail.
Good afternoon, everybody. We have had a wonderful program, and I can promise you today I will never ask Ms. Cherry to do that again. Thank you, Ms. Cherry. And thanks again to our wonderful, outstanding speaker, Ms. Valeisha Butterfield-Jones. Thank you for coming and sharing with our students and with all of us today for this YMTF. YMTF is highly relevant to everything we do at this university and all that we are about at this university. It is about preparing our students for the lives and the careers that they will face once they leave here. Preparing them by giving them the honest to goodness truth, from folks who have been out there and been on the battlefield and have the battle scars to show for it, but are willing to come back and to share with you, our students. We'd like to also thank all of our consultants who have come back to share with us. Let's give them a round of applause. We thank you. Thank you for giving up your time and your service to share with our students in this way. I'm sorry I haven't been able to be with you until today. I was out of town as well and almost didn't get back in time. I was at the HBCU fly-in with Congress in Washington, D.C., and we were up there with some of our great and well-known leaders, G.K. Butterfield, and also Congresswoman Alma Adams, and we had, and all of the folks in the Congressional Black Caucus, and all of the folks on both sides of the aisle. We had a good time with our congressman, Congressman Bruce Westerman and Senator Bozeman, and we were there to advocate on behalf of our HBCUs, because we know that our HBCUs provide an excellent education and a foundation for you to do anything and to be anything that you want to be. Once you leave here, you leave here empowered to lead. So thank you once again, and thank you all for all that you do. And thank you, Ms. Cherry, for putting on this wonderful program, and to the Office of Career Services for the work that they've done. Let's give them a round of applause. They have worked indefatigably. Yeah. On behalf, okay, they have worked indefatigably on behalf of this program and this university, and the Office of Career Services is the place. They hold up the banner for the things that our students need to do, and the things that our speaker today reinforced: experience, resume building, right? Experiential learning, taking advantage of all the opportunities that you have that come your way, and being grateful for those opportunities when they do come. I'd like to also acknowledge Watson Chapel High School is here with us today. Thank you. Thank you, Watson Chapel, for coming and sharing in this experience with us. And we hope that today you received a nugget as well as you progress and transition on your way to the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. You notice the way I slid in the recruitment note, Dr. Okira? As you transition to the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, or your HBCU of choice, or your university of choice, we appreciate you and thank you for coming. Thank you all. Thank you.
Would everyone please stand for the retrieving of the colors?
Mark time, march. Color guard, out. Left, face. Post. Present, on. Order, on. Right, face. Forward, march.
At this time, we will have our alma mater.